What's up, family? This is Dr. Baruch, and we are here in the ELife Media Studios. Our show today is entitled the ELife Power Lunch. This is the ELife Power Lunch here on the ELife Media Network. And before I get started, please like, share, post, comment, subscribe to what it is that we're doing here. Our goal is to bring attention to elements within our world, our culture, our history, our future, our technology, our interaction with one another that would be beneficial to us. And we're going to do that today. Our show today is going to focus on, it's hard enough to be a black man in America, and we can bring it down, black man in Washington, D.C. now. It's hard enough to be a black man in this here United States of America. Just imagine how much harder it would be if you look like what everybody's afraid of and has these negative stereotypes of, and you have, on top of that, you've been classified, identified, and clinically supposedly proven to have a mental illness. And today we have in our studios brother Ajiaron Williams, who I've known since 2004. And ever since I've known him, he has demonstrated that he does have a challenge, however, doesn't necessarily embrace it as something that will be a part of his life for the rest of his life. So we want to talk to him a little bit about how his world has been different even than from my world, and that he has a different experience, sometimes better, sometimes worse, as a black man with a mental challenge. And we're going to get into that. Ajiaron, welcome.
Thank you, Dr. Baruch.
Thank you. And thank you for coming on board to share with us a subject that you don't oftentimes hear the person with the challenge talking about. Most times you would have an expert supposedly sharing with you expert advice on what's going on with mental health and how people can get help and what kind of signs you would look for in order to identify, an individual with mental health. And that's where I want to go. I want to go right there in that. Tell me, when were you first, or when did you first show evidence of being different than the children or the people around you? Because it happened in your youth, correct?
Yes, sir. When I was a teenager, I showed signs of post-traumatic stress disorder or schizophrenia.
Okay. And did you show signs of that without somebody clinically defining that, or you had to be clinically, diagnosed by some psychiatrist or psychologist or somebody in that world? Did they give you that title or that designation, or was this something where people kind of knew already there was something that wasn't happening right with you? In other words, were you a normal little kid and all of a sudden now you got diagnosed and somebody said that you're not normal anymore? How did that work out?
I was watching TV and I was copying a meditation from a cartoon, and an anime cartoon, and I just kept doing it over and over again. And it felt good. I didn't want to get out of it. I thought that somehow something good would happen, and the ambulance picked me up, and
this was at your home you were doing this?
I was doing that at home, but basically I was doing that outside by the shopping malls.
Okay, so you were at the shopping, and this is something that you regularly did?
Yes, I did. Maybe every 5 times a week.
Okay. Tell me about your childhood. Do you think you had pretty much a normal childhood? Did you have good support from your family and your community and your school?
I was, when I was a child, I didn't know how to take a bath or a shower.
Oh yeah? Mm-hmm. And that made life pretty difficult for you when you interacted with other people, right?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. And once you learned how to take a bath or a shower, did things change for you? And what age were you when you started correctly bathing?
Around my 20s or teenage age.
Teenage years. Okay. All right. Great. And I would suspect that your classmates can be pretty cruel. So they were probably pretty cruel if you had an issue with hygiene, and I would suspect that maybe you did.
Yes, I did.
Okay. That's interesting. It's unfortunate that our communities are so harsh on one another. You know, it's already bad enough that you're a black man, and we already know, you know, what it's like to be a black man. Living in this skin is challenging in and of itself, and to now have on top of that, you know, an emotional or a mental imbalance, or something maybe not going as well as it should, and all of a sudden now you get treated even worse as opposed to supported. Can you think of, you know, again, other areas where you were not supported like you think, you know, somebody would need to be supported, or like you would have wanted to have been supported?
When I was diagnosed, I wanted people to see that I'm a normal person, and undiagnose me and take me off the meds, and I wanted somebody to show me the way to live a regular life, to learn how to take a shower.
Now, when you say a regular life, you were seeking help from the medical and the pharmaceutical establishment to bring you back into a normal space so that you could function, and you could go to school, and you could go to class, and you could get a job, and you could have a regular life, you could have a family, and you could grow up like everybody else. Is that what you're speaking about?
No, I wasn't looking to the medical industry because they were giving me psychotropic medicine, which was making me feel a lot of pain. I was just hoping that somebody would help me, but I didn't know who to look to help, to ask for help.
Okay. Now, through this experience of yours, you've had some pretty difficult times. In fact, I believe at some points in your life you were homeless. You know, tell us about that. Tell us why you ended up being homeless, and tell us about the homeless experience. First off, how did you end up becoming homeless? Did you make the decision yourself, or was this a decision that was made and you were kicked out or you were removed?
It was a decision I made. I was living in a group home, and I think it's called residential facility, and I was on a whole lot of pain from psychotropic meds, and I thought about hurting myself, and I called the suicide hotline, and I asked them I asked them questions like, how can I get off psychotropic meds, and what should I do? They said, if you don't want to be in a group home, just go to a shelter. So I went to a shelter, and I asked them how to get my SSI checked, and they told me to have it mailed to the shelter, and that's what I did.
Okay. And when you were at the group home was, I would suspect, they were making sure that you take whatever psychotropic medication you were supposed to be taking based on some doctor's diagnosis, right?
Yes.
Have you ever found that the drugs helped you?
No.
Never. Never after taking the drugs do you feel like you got better?
No, I actually got worse. I developed another mental illness called post-traumatic stress disorder.
Okay. Okay. And what are some of the other, you talk about pain, what are some of the other symptoms that you experience as a result of taking the psychotropic drugs?
I shake. I say things that I don't mean, that I don't want to say. And I do things that I don't mean to do. That's not right.
And through your life, you haven't gotten much support, like you said, from your community and possibly not even your family. So where have you gotten help?
I gotten help from Dr. Baruch.
How did that happen? How did you come across me?
My group home was across the street from the restaurant Everlasting Life. And I was walking towards the mall where the restaurant was, and I saw some jewelry, and I took some jewelry. I was looking at the jewelry, and then I somehow sensed that there was a doctor there, a nutritionist. And so I inquired about the nutritionist there, and they told me that you were there, and I called you and I talked to you.
Do you remember when that was?
No, I'm not sure. It was a couple of years. It was a long time ago.
And what has happened? What kind of support have you gotten from your experience here at Everlasting Life, the customers, the employees, and even what you may have gotten from me?
I've gotten a life of hope and love. You know, I got offered to be CEO of the restaurant if I got better.
Okay. And how does hope, help you? Is hope real, or is it kind of this fictitious, artificial thing, or do you really have real hope that you're gonna be a champion over this thing?
I have real hope that I'm gonna be a challenge over this thing.
You're gonna be a champion. Okay. And you were homeless for how long?
4 to 5 years.
4 or 5 years, and that was throughout the year, summer, winter, spring, and fall?
Yes, sir.
Tell me about that experience.
I got put out of, I was going to shelters, and I was using my SSI check to buy food and food stamps to buy food and clothes.
Okay. And was the experience at the homeless shelter, I don't know, was it demeaning? Was it a good experience? Did you enjoy it over the group home? Were you looking forward to getting housing? Tell me how that went.
I liked the shelter over the group home, and because I had my own rules.
You controlled your own life.
Yes.
Okay. And you are now working with medical doctors or psychologists to reduce your dependency or reduce the amount of chemical that you're having to take every month or every day to treat your mental illness, correct?
Yes, sir.
What are some of the strategies that you've used or that you've been exposed to, and what kind of successes have you had with them? You've not just done the psychotropic meds. Of course, that was imposed upon you many times, but you did some things naturally. Tell me about what you did naturally and what kind of success you had with it.
Well, I had mobility problems. I couldn't move, and I looked at nutritional therapy and reflexology.
And those have worked for you to some degree?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Anything else?
I tried crystal therapy.
Okay. Crystal therapy. Did that give you any relief at all?
I'm not really sure about that one.
Okay. Okay. And what's your projection? Are you looking at putting this illness behind you?
Yes, I am.
And you're prepared to do whatever work you might need to do in order to achieve it?
Yes, sir.
Is there anything that is more important to you than that? When you think about your day-to-day life, is there anything that you think about more than, overcoming this mental challenge?
Following a healthy lifestyle, living towards the Bible.
Okay. And you've got a different kind of support system around you now. Do you find that having people here at the restaurant and where you go, do you find that helps, you feel more normal?
Yes, I do. I'm able to talk to my managers about my mental illness, and I don't get criticized. People don't say, he's got mental illness. They treat me as friends. We talk about exercises, and You know, we say hi to each other in the morning.
Mm-hmm.
They treat me just like the regular people.
Mm-hmm. So what do you want to do with your life? You're now in your mid-30s. You know, where do you want your life to be in the next 10 years? What do you want to do?
Ultimately, I want to be the CEO of Everlasting Life.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Okay. Well, I appreciate you coming on and sharing with us some very personal elements of your life. And I know you've been wanting to come on and talk and be a part of what it is that we're doing here on the ELife Media Network. And, you know, it's good to hear from, again, somebody who can talk about their own personal experience, rather than some, you know, talking head expert who would, you know, tell us what they think you're going through and what you must be challenged with and what you're going to need to do. You know, it's good to hear, you know, and prayerfully you know, having a voice and giving a voice to mentally challenged individuals, that you will bring attention to the fact that, you know, hey man, you want to be normal and you want to be received just like everybody else. You know, you don't want to be treated differently. You want to be normal, and you don't want to be, not that you don't want to overcome. You want to overcome. You know, you want to defeat this thing. You know, you don't want to be a threat to yourself. You don't want to be a threat to the community or the population around you, but you want to be treated normal, and I think that's fair. And again, I appreciate you sharing with us, you know, these intimate details about some of the things that you've experienced. And if you could, you know, if you could have anything, you know, if you could communicate to the world right now what you would want them to do when they encounter a person with mental illness, what do you think, as you are in maybe some of your darkest moments, what would you have wanted somebody to say or do for you?
I would want them to look at an alternative therapy doctor, or find a natural way to heal me instead of going to medical doctors.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay, great. Well, today we have been talking to Brother Ajiaron Williams, and we're thankful for you coming on board, Ajiaron. We've been talking to Brother Ajiaron Williams about his challenges as a mental health champion. A mental health champion. He is doing everything he can within his power, and again, I appreciate the work that you do with and for us here, and we look forward to being your support and a partner with you on this road to being as normal and successful and as happy as you possibly can. Thank you very much for those of you in the viewing and listening audience. This has been the ELife Power Lunch with Dr. Baruch and Kris Murray. Please stay tuned for more great programming here on the ELife Media Network.